Hello and welcome to our new old boat. This is a Mainship 34 trawler, a Mark 1, 1980. So she's an old girl, and we no longer have Kittiwake. Our little pocket trawler, trailer trawler is gone. An offer that we couldn't refuse was given to us on New Year's Day. And a week later, I made the mistake of looking on Facebook Marketplace, and here we are. So this isn't just any Mainship 34. It's got some real modifications to it. The most prominent one is the fact that it doesn't have a swim platform. It's actually a hull extension. They've added more than 3 feet, about 40 inches to the hull. So it's no longer a Mainship 34, it is just about 37 feet. Another obvious thing is somewhere along the line these lower windows were added, both port and starboard, and that's what really sold the Admiral on it, just the amount of light that gets in. She's a sun worshipper, and well, it just brightens up the interior a whole lot. Another thing, the Mark 1's always had a pretty good overhang on the cockpit cover, but somebody added right back to the transom. Nice job. Needs to be cleaned up, as you can see from some of the mold, but we haven't really had chance to do any work on this yet. We spent 3 months down in Arizona snowbirding and just got back, and we're trying to figure things out. It also has this crane, which pretty cool. It helps get up the Livingston, which we kept from Kittiwake. It's a heavy dinghy, but very stable, and it works well with this little mast crane. It also has this interesting outboard bracket, which folds right down and locks into this bracket, and you can use it to fish, trolling, or emergency get home. Nice fold down swim ladder. I'm not so sure about this round arched stainless piece. I've got a pair of Weaver davit loops that I'm going to attach. I think I don't know why we would need this structure here, but I guess somebody along the way liked it. Another thing, the original 34s did not have transom door, so it's nice to have. Nice big cockpit, especially compared with our little pocket trawler. We're spoiled for space now. And we'll take a walk up the starboard side deck, just have a look. The boat came with a ton of canvas, a whole top enclosure and everything, but it's all wrecked. Even the zippers are not worth salvaging. The previous owner just installed this Lumar Profish 1000, and this has got quite an interesting bow roller, anchor roller. I call it the battering ram, all stainless steel tubing, really strong, and I like the Delta anchor, which we've had on a lot of boats. We're going to go up and have a look at the upper deck before we head inside. And you're going right up into the sun here, so it might be a bit of glare. Black isn't our color, so the only canvas that was saved was this enclosure here, and I think that's not going to be long for the world here. It's in pretty rough shape. I've patched a little bit and reinforced a little bit, but it is what it is. Another nice thing about this particular boat, I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but it has a bow thruster. Unfortunately only hooked up from the Flybridge here, but it's a nice thing with it when you have a single diesel. The chart plotter here is inoperative. The seat is a simple wooden affair with a padded seat cover and storage underneath, and that storage was just tons and tons of Sunbrella, black Sunbrella windows and zippers, and you know, we'll do a bimini just over the actual upper helm, but we are not going to do the full enclosure thing. If it's that bad, we'll be downstairs at the lower helm. So the radar arch shows that it needs some cleaning up of the wiring for the solar panels. There's two 100-watt panels here, and I've got a couple more that I'm going to be adding. Just needs some cleanup. Just bought this little deck box, and it holds some cushions and life jackets and such. This old truck box was always useful on the 2 or 3 other boats that I've had. It looks terrible. I tried painting it white one time, and as you can see, the white didn't want to stay, but it's got stored stuff as well. And we'll head back down. This orange rug here isn't going to stay. We have it for our camper, and I just brought it down to check it out for size, and we'll probably find something that's not quite as off-putting as orange. Probably whatever canvas we're going to do will be green, a forest green, or the Admiral sort of is aiming towards turquoise as well. But one strange thing, the depth sounder on the chart plotter at the lower helm stopped working, a transducer problem, I think I was told. And so what did the previous owner do? He bought a whole new chart plotter fish finder thing right here, and it sits out in the cockpit. Sort of strange, but that's the only depth sounder that's working right now. In a minute I'll show you something else, but it's sort of awkward if you're either at the upper or lower helms and you have to come out here to look at the depth, but soon to be remedied. There's also an outdoor shower just here in the cockpit. And of course, all the main ships were known for being very bright and airy inside. Lots of windows, and as I said before, this particular one has the added lower windows, which make you seem like you're in a greenhouse. We're using this round table that we had in a previous boat. Got some nice chairs with green. This stained glass piece is from Mexico, and the Admiral gave that to me for my birthday, so that was one of the first things we had to install when we got back from our winter holiday. Panning around, as you can see, there is no bulkhead between the upper salon here and the lower galley. A lot of the first generation Mark 1s had basically a wall with just a pass-through. So again, this brightens this up. For some reason, the seating area is an outdoor boat box seat thing that somebody put in at some time. It's a nice little size, but and it has storage underneath the bottom cushions, but there's no way to sleep on it, and so this, at the moment, this is only a 2-passenger boat, which is 90% of our time anyway, but we're going to look for a futon or a sofa bed that we can use. Now, one of the reasons that green has become the color is because the Admiral just finished hooking this rug after quite some time, and it's a nice piece, obviously, and so we're sort of working towards that. The seats here are a darker forest green, but I think green is the color, both in and out for the boat eventually. Another interesting thing is you don't see them anymore. If I can get it open, but it has a fold down chart table. I'm probably too close for you to get a good impression of it. Not practical for use, but it's good for storage, and I've got so many old cruising books and paper charts that it comes in handy for storage. One of the first things I did was I changed out the 5 12-volt lights. Amazon was my friend. I'd done this with a couple of the other boats, and I use these same ones. They can either go off one side or both sides. So there's 2 in the salon, 1 in the galley, 1 in the head, and 1 in the V-berth. It's got the old-fashioned original panels. We do have an Onan generator here, which is nice. We don't usually need it. The last few boats, and certainly our campers, we've just been solar powering it. I have a Honda 2000i inverter generator, but we haven't used it in years. Very simple helm, outdated in a lot of ways. Big clunky old VHF radio. Here's the chart plotter, which doesn't want to give us any depth. We've got the Furono radar, which is still on standby. Here's what I'm going to use for the depth sounder. It's sort of backlit, but here we'll bring it around here. It's a Garmin Striker 4 mini fish finder. So it's depth and a very basic GPS. I'm not going to put a chip in it or any charts, just use it as the depth sounder. And I've used it on Kittiwake, the previous boat, and they're great little things for not much over $100. We'll step down into the Galley. It's been converted. There's no longer a propane cook stove and oven. They took out the map of the world, which was always against this forward bulkhead in the Galley. You know, sort of a metallicized etching of the world. And they've put in a convection oven microwave, which will work. For now, we just have the camp stove, which I've had for, well, it's older than the boat, I'm sure. Propane, so used judiciously. The barbecue will get used a lot more in the summertime. And probably we'll get an induction cooktop or something like that. Decent storage. A little disappointed by the fridge and may upgrade that. I really loved the little 12-volt DC Nova Cools that we had in a couple of previous boats. This is just a regular cheap 120 volt land-based fridge, but besides having the generator, we've also got a nice Xantrax 2000 inverter charger, so it can run this little fridge for now. This head seems quite luxurious to what we had on Kittiwake, the 25-footer. Big medicine cabinet. And down here we have an electric macerator head. Push the button and it makes a great sound and does what it's supposed to do. There's a shower here. We don't typically use the showers on board. We might use the cockpit shower occasionally, but we'll use this as a hanging locker. And we always carry drinking water. We don't trust tank water in any boat or RV we've ever had. Maybe if we were buying something brand new, it would be different, but we prefer to drink water that we know. Big V-berth. It's almost too wide. We could sleep across, but then you're climbing over each other. Behind the mirror is access to the anchor locker. Starboard side has this big shelf area where you can store stuff, so we're still working on figuring it out. We'll typically leave the filler piece in all season, and hence we have a stool here to climb up. Storage in these 3 cupboards, plus each side has a small hanging locker. Great for summer, but you wouldn't be putting your foul weather gear or whatever in there. But it'll do because we have this big area here in the head. These steps lift up for storage underneath. And somebody added this. This isn't a stock item, but it's usable. Cheap. They probably found it at a restore or a thrift shop or something. Some old kitchen cabinet thing. So if I move these flowers out of the way, you'll see the Xantrex controller for the inverter charger, and to the below that is another nice add-on to this boat. It's an Espar diesel forced air furnace. So we should be good multi-seasoning here. There'll be always projects to do. One of the windshield wipers isn't working right now. The sound system here, which is basically a car stereo, isn't working. The horn has power to it, and it just makes a little funny beep noise, so we'll be replacing that. I haven't talked about underneath, and I'm not going to lift the floor at this point, but basically from here all the way back to here, the floor lifts up 4 different panels worth. So we've got an old original Perkins 160 horsepower turbo propulsion engine, and then back here behind it is the Onan generator, and they both work. The old Perk is a bit smoky on startup, but again, it's 43-year-old technology. The previous owner spent a lot of money that you can't really see. Some of the stuff, yes, you know, the new windlass, the new chart plotter here in the cockpit. He put in the Espar. The main thing that he did, though, is he's got bills for well over $10,000 to rewire basically the whole boat. You know, brought it up to current standards. You're not going to find morettes and other little things. All the connections and everything were done. Plus, a lot of the plumbing was done. All new through hulls. The old original bronze were feeling their age, and there were some corrosion. And now we've got the Marlon nylon through hulls, and so everything is not terrible. There's still lots to do, you know, cosmetically. You know, there isn't much wood, thankfully. I've had the Taiwanese trawlers, which were basically wooden boats with a plastic shell, which had so much wood. But as you can see from the ladder, from the cockpit combing here, there's some refinishing to do. The previous owner built this little fold down table, which we'll use for a while before we figure out anything else. So basically, that's the new boat. The Admiral has decided that the name of the boat is going to be Starbird, not Starboard, Starbird, which apparently is another name for a phoenix. So, we'll get that name put on the side. It's certainly more to my liking than one of the previous names of the boat, which was Fishin' Impossible, if you can believe that. But anyway, a Mainship 34 trawler, a Mark I version from 1980, is our new home on the water. And we're going to be trying it out in a couple of days. Just go out for 1 or 2 or 3 overnights. We got some decent weather finally here on Vancouver Island, and so we're going to give it a run close to home, but we'll see what we get.